friends, my name is Ichigania and this is our project Death on a Paper. I'm so happy to have you guys here for another video. How have you guys been doing? I hope that life has been treating you well and that you've been doing okay. I just finished recording the voiceover for this video, and then like something happened and now there's nothing in that recording, so I'm doing this again. So great, fuck me. Anyways, hi, so happy to see you guys again. And if you happen to be new here on my channel, hi, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I make art videos about childhood trauma that comes from prolonged and severe bullying, living with mental health problems like borderline personality disorder, and then running a small art business, I guess. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please be so kind as to subscribe to the channel and like the video. That would really mean a lot to me. I'm trying to make YouTube more of a thing for me right now. I'm trying to make videos on a weekly basis, like every single Wednesday, because I've been having a lot of problems with Instagram lately, and I just need like some type of a shift with the stuff that I make. So I would really appreciate having you here. So yeah, first off, I wanted to give you guys a rundown of the materials that I'll be using for this SPEEDPAINT as is typical for my videos. So you'll be seeing me use my trusted Ecoline brush pen markers. They are watercolor based, so they're basically like watercolors but in the form of a marker. Then I'll also be using some of my Faber-Castell India ink markers, dual ended markers. They are great for like details and more like brighter colors. Then I'll also be using some of my Ohuhu Nahuku acrylic markers that I was very kindly gifted by the brand themselves. I've been really enjoying working with them. So yeah, and then I also have my Sakura jelly roll white gel pens for like highlights and on that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I'll be working on. And yeah, this illustration is part of the chapter online, as like the illustrations that I've been working on recently mostly have been about. So that chapter is about cyberbullying and online abuse and different sort of discourse that happens on the internet in regards to bullying as a type of abuse, like things like victim blaming and trauma invalidation, which are some of the things that we'll be discussing here in this video also. So yeah, let's just get into it then, shall we, I guess. So, as you can probably tell, the main argument present in this illustration is the one with the capital letters reading "just log off." That's at the core of this topic and this discussion that I want to have with you guys, because it is an argument that has been used against the victims of cyberbullying and online abuse as long as that kind of stuff has been going on. That it is just that cyberbullying is not quote unquote real, that you get out of that situation by just logging off of the internet. And yeah, while maybe that might have worked, like I want to say like 2 decades ago, like right now that's not really even a thing anymore. Like the internet is not a place that you can just really like fully exit out of anymore. If you live in any of the Western countries, Jesus, that use internet on a daily basis, because a lot of our like even everyday activities are related to the internet nowadays. Like you can't really escape it. Like if you have a smartphone, you will be online 24/7 to some extent. So like even just thinking of like the concept of logging off is not really even a thing. So yeah, and at the core of that argument, in my personal opinion, is the mentality of shifting the responsibility of the abuse onto the victims themselves. So there's that sort of mindset that people have, that you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and therefore like what did you expect? And it's just like, bruh, like, I mean, like, it just, that argument in itself is not just like, it's not unique to cyberbullying or online abuse of any kind. It is also very prevalent in other forms of abuse when we're talking about victims voicing their experiences, their stories, and being authentic with it, and being heard and validated in their traumas, because that's very important. Just as a side tangent, like, it's not just about like online validation and like getting, like, seeking for attention or something like that. It is very, very important for a victim of any type of abuse to have their experiences and their trauma seen and heard and validated, like, for them to ever truly recover from what happened to them. Especially if your trauma is a very serious kind, like something like complex childhood trauma, like for instance, like for me, it's very, very important that your trauma gets validated by those around you, that, like, because then you can finally feel at ease and be like, well, okay, then it's not just in my head, it really happened, and that's why I'm sick the way that I am. And now that I've acknowledged that, now I can start healing. It's very, very important. So yeah, it's not just about like some type of brownie points from the internet. Like, it's a matter of trauma recovery as well. But yeah, like this mindset, this mentality, that victims are responsible for the abuse that they go through simply because they happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, like that sort of rhetoric has been used against, like, for instance, like victims of misogynistic violence. Like if we're talking about like victims' presence as the problem, I think that like bringing up misogynistic violence and misogynistic sexual violence in particular is a very, very good example of that. We have sort of started to like move away from that, at least to a certain extent, after the Me Too movement started in 2017. That did change the trajectory of like public discourse around misogynistic sexual violence, because that was like the first time that we actually like truly acknowledged the fact that, hey, maybe it's not the women's fault for going outside with their friends and then being assaulted and raped by some disgusting, deplorable human being. Like, wow, what a fucking concept, what a wild idea. But yeah, like that sort of did change the way that we view misogynistic sexual violence. Of course, that's not to say that like that sort of trauma invalidation or like victim blaming doesn't happen to victims of misogynistic violence anymore. Of course it does. But if we're talking about like a broader scale of like online discourse and stuff like that, that has changed in the past decade or so to a more positive like direction. So the argument itself is not just related to online abuse and cyberbullying. It is something that the victims of all kinds of abuse and violence have had to deal with to a certain extent. But I want to say that, like, especially right now in the year of 2026, cyberbullying and online abuse is definitely one of those forms of abuse that still gets treated like this, that still gets painted as the responsibility of the victim themselves. Because at the core of that argument is that the internet is not a mandatory place for you to be in, and like, yeah, that might have been the case in like 2006, but guys, it's not 2006 anymore. It's 2026. Like, dude, like, just get a grab of reality, like, for real. It just Like, the internet is fucking everywhere, dude. Like, we should all know this by now. Like, our everyday activities as like members of of Western societies are like very muchly great English, very greatly dictated by the internet. Like, if we think about something like having a fucking job, like especially after the COVID pandemic, it's more and more common for people to have jobs that are completely online. Like, remote work is a thing, and how does that work? Generally speaking, via the internet. And then if we talk about applying for jobs, like seeking for job openings, that also happens on the internet. So what do you think might happen if there's something being said about you, something inflammatory, something like derogatory, and something completely like not based in reality? How do you think that might potentially like affect your capability of being hired by someone? Especially if like some type of smear campaign like has been going on like against you, and they use your legal name. How do you think that might like affect your like likelihood of being hired by anybody? Because the thing is that, like, while being a social media content creator, like myself, I guess, like doing this kind of stuff, like this is not mandatory. Yes, like I choose to do this, though I do this because I'm trying to earn a living with it. But anyways, that's not the point of this conversation. But having this type of a social media presence that people like me have, like, yeah, that may not be mandatory, but have you, I'm sure that a lot of you have recently applied for jobs. It's very, very common for job applications and job openings now to ask for your social media handles, because they search you up, because they want to see what kind of a person you are, what kind of people you interact with, what are your interests, what are your strengths as a potential employee, and stuff like that. Social media profiles tell a lot about their users, and while it's not completely mandatory, like it reads good on you if you do have some type of a social media presence, even if your followers are literally just your family members, your friends, your relatives, whatever the fuck. Even if it's just that, and you just post selfies and cute pictures of your everyday life, that's good for you. That's good in terms of like being hired by somebody. And like we do have to have a job of some kind, like if you're able to, obviously, but generally speaking, like having a job is kind of mandatory. So so just having some type of a presence on social media is really good for that. So yeah, while it might not be like absolutely mandatory, it is something that you should have, like when you're looking for jobs and stuff like that. Like that's just how things are nowadays. So if people are saying something completely inflammatory about you online, and if they're using your legal name for that in particular, like that can really bring you a lot of trouble. Like it's just like the stuff that is said on the internet does not end there anymore. Like just like I said, just the concept of logging off is not really even a thing anymore, because maybe like 20, 15 years ago, like yeah, you got on your family computer and you logged on to fucking Facebook or something, and then when you were done, then you just logged off and closed the computer, and then that's it. But like now, when we have smartphones, like the internet is fucking everywhere, and like we're constantly using it. Even if we're not using places like social media, we use things like online banking. Like we use things like softwares that are used for studying at universities, or like licensed softwares that are used for like work related tasks or something like that. Like just we use clouds, we use the internet all the time. And if something is being said about you online, and if it's being attached to your legal name and your likeness in any sort of way, that can really just like get you in deep shit, especially in regards to like getting hired, like finding a job, and even things like getting like renting an apartment or something, because the fact of the matter is that the internet is a very important of our daily lives in the Western world, and people like employers, they seek you out. So yeah, like just if something like that is going on the internet about you, then that will have its consequences on you. To me personally, like the biggest problem with all of this is like the assumption, or like the mentality of excusing abuse because of certain conditions. And what I mean by this is like, well, if we think back on the example of misogynistic violence, like there's like this general conception that like if you as a woman decide to go out on a Saturday night, like with your friends, and you're dressed up all fancy and pretty and sexy, and then like it's like 11 p.m. or something, and then some atrocious human being, some man, like decides to sexually assault you because quote unquote because of the way that you look and because you were there at that time. Like that's like what I mean by excusing abuse because of certain conditions that apply to the situation. And those conditions here are: one, you're a woman; two, you're dressed up in a feminine manner; and three, you go out like to bars, to nightclubs at the wee hours, like around midnight. And yeah, so those are the conditions that are being used to excuse abuse that you go through. And the same mentality applies to the way that people feel about cyberbullying and online abuse, because the conditions are that: one, you have chosen to be on the internet; two, you have chosen to post something on the internet; and three, it's not mandatory, so therefore you are putting yourself out there as a potential victim. And that's just, like that as an idea is just so insanely problematic and toxic to me, because you can use that against for people of like marginalized communities, for example. Just think of this, for example. If you are a member of any marginalized community, like if you're a queer person, if you are a woman, if you are a person of color, if you are disabled, like just your mere existence in this world, in this patriarchal, like ableist, misogynistic, and cis heteronormative society, like, and racist society, like even all of that, like just your mere presence is enough to sort of like subject you to some type of abuse in this world, because that's the way that the world is, and especially for people with marginalized communities. But is it okay for us to say that to all of those people that belong to marginalized communities, that it is their fault for existing in this world that is so completely against their existence here? No, of course not. And if you do think that, then you're a shitty ass person, and I don't want nothing to do with you. But like, it just, that's sort of what I've always thought about, that like it just, you will always be like some type of a target, like for these types of people, no matter what you look like, no matter who you are, no matter the social status that you have. There's always going to be some atrocious garbage bags of human beings who will want to victimize you for some reason or another. And that's just a fact of life. Does that mean that we should just be okay with that? Of course not. Of course. And that's partly like why I do what I do. Because just the fact of the matter is that there are always going to be abusive people in this world, and there's nothing that can be done about that. But what we can do is we can punish these people for their shitty ass actions, for their abusive tendencies and abusive behavior, so that they get what they deserve. That's how I feel. And this applies to any type of abuse. It doesn't matter where that abuse takes place. It doesn't matter who it's being done to. It doesn't matter who the abuser is. This applies to every single type of abuse, including online abuse. And if we talk about online abuse, and it's just consequences to its victims, like, it doesn't just stay on the internet. Like I said, like, it can affect the way of which, like, you potentially get hired by an employer that you're applying to a job for, like that kind of stuff, like that happens on the internet to a certain extent. It doesn't just like involve these types of consequences that take place on the internet. It also can have a lasting effect on your personal life, like in a way that has fuck all to do with the internet altogether. So to just take your focus back on the illustration that I'm working on right here, and I want to discuss like these real life consequences of online abuse with you. So let's look at this illustration once again. This character here in this piece is called the Kid, and she is a child incarnation of me. Based on the kid that I was at the age of 10 to 13, I want to say, because that was the time when I was experiencing the most severe cases of my abuse by my peers. So these comments, these messages here at the top half of the illustration, they a lot of them have something to do with like school environments, because the kid is a school kid. Like she goes to school, an elementary school student. But yeah, I want you to pay attention to the comment, to the message right at the bottom. It reads, "I told everyone in the group chat you were touching yourself in class. They're gonna turn you into the principal." Now, for some of these comments and some of these messages, they are based on my personal experience, of being abused by my peers as a kid, and there are some that are based on like stories that I have heard from other victims of bullying, and how that trauma has affected them, and how they were being abused by their peers. This one is one of those. I didn't deal with this particular issue, but I know a lot of people who have. Like, this is blackmail. This is extortion, and like, if we're talking about something like being expelled from your school, that can literally destroy a child's life. Like, it just like doing like spreading like inflammatory rumors about a victim of bullying like this, and then potentially getting the kid fucking expelled from school because of doing something that they most definitely didn't do. Like, that's something that these people do. Because I need you to understand one thing. The people who do this, they will not stop the abuse once you go offline. They will find ways to get back to you. If you block them, they will create a new account. If you continue to block them, they will create more and more like sock puppet accounts to get back to you on the internet. And they will do their absolute fucking hardest to get access to your personal information, to your address, to your phone number, to your email address, to the school that you go to if they do not go to the same school with you, and they will find a way to destroy you. Like, there've been several cases like in the recent years when like queer kids who have been victims of extreme online abuse like have either killed themselves or have been killed by their abusers simply because of the fact that they were queer. There was one case in the UK, if I'm not completely mistaken. It was a couple of years ago when this young teenager, young kid, who was trans, they were killed by their abusers from school, because the abusers had created a group chat, like a WhatsApp group chat for all of the people who wanted to abuse this trans kid, to talk shit about them, and then they eventually leaked their personal address where they live, and then a couple of these absolutely atrocious human beings found the kid, and then they just straight up murdered them because they were trans. So yeah, that's what happens. And I know that's a very extreme case of online abuse, yes, but it does happen. And even the quote unquote milder ones, even they are severe, because getting expelled from your school for something that you didn't do is not a joke. And then and having basically underage pornographic material spread it across the internet because you were blackmailed, if you didn't do that, that in itself is a crime, and that puts the victim at further risk of being sexualized and sex trafficked and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not a fucking joke, guys. It's not. It doesn't end on the internet. The internet is not the only place where this kind of shit affects you. It affects you just all across your entire life. Okay, I guess that's about it. That's the video. Yay. Yeah, once again, this footage wasn't that long, so yeah, the video is sort of a shorter one. I've been thinking of potentially filming the line art process for these types of illustrations as well, because working on a piece like this one where there's no intricate background designs, that there's just just a bit of coloring with one or two characters, and then that's it. These are very quick for me to finish, and I need the footage to be a bit longer so that I can yap a bit longer, because I have a lot to say about these topics. So yeah, but that's about it. Yeah, as a way to wrap things up, I wanted to say that I'm currently working on a Pride collection for the upcoming Pride month. So for anyone who's not familiar with me, I am a gender non-conforming demisexual lesbian. So there's a lot of queer stuff going on here with me and with the characters of Death on a Paper. So there's going to be new Pride themed illustrations of the characters, and then some Pride pins for all kinds of queer identities, not just ones that are somehow related to me or my characters. So there should be something for everyone. And I think that you guys will like the things that I've planned to sell for this year's Pride month. So please keep an eye out on that, on the shop update that's coming up. I will probably make a YouTube video about that as well. So yeah. As for everything else, I don't really know everything that I'll be doing in terms of Instagram content, because things are just sort of uncertain right now. But yeah, hopefully I'll be back with another YouTube video next week. So yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me again this week with this new video. My name is Ichigunia, and this has been our project Death on a Paper.